Look at the picture very attentively. Can you tell which prisoner is rich? The first one is sewing something. She must be working as a seamstress. She probably isn't that rich. The second one has some pieces of jewelry. But in the second place where the prisoners are, the golden chains don't mean much. The third one is reading quietly and doesn't cause any trouble. That's a rich person's behavior. They usually don't want to attract attention, especially in jail. It was November, but Jasmine already had some bad grades at school. So, her mother, Mrs. Lawrence, grounded her until Jasmine improved her grades. Mrs. Lawrence worked night shifts and had to leave for work. One day, when she returned home, she realized that Jasmine had sneaked out at night to go to a party. How did Mrs. Lawrence understand it? It's fall. The car is parked right under the tree, but unlike their neighbors' cars, it's not covered in leaves. It means Jasmine had just returned home after the night party. Vienna was wandering in a forest and came across a huge and spooky mansion. When she walked in, the door behind her back got locked. It was an old magician's house. He didn't like when strangers visited his mansion. Soon, Vienna saw 3 drinks on the table. The yellow one would allow the girl to live for a month without water or food. The purple one would make her the size of an index finger for an hour. The blue one would give her a lion's strength for half an hour. Which one should she drink? The purple drink. She'll become small and she'll be able to escape through that little cat door. Esme was walking in the forest, but she got lost. Soon, the girl found the witch's house, entered it, petted the cat, and asked if the witch could send her home. The witch had just gotten a new laptop and a 3-digit password. She asked Esme to figure out what it was. Esme made 4 guesses: 357, 902, 907, 954. Obviously, she didn't get it right. The witch gave her a hint. Each of Esme's guesses had 1 correct digit, and it was exactly in the right place. What's the password? The first digit can't be 9, so it's 3. Then, the second and third digits can't be 5 and 7, so the second digit must be 0, and the third one is 4, which means the code is 304. Sailor and Evie were best friends who wanted to spend the winter vacation together. Unfortunately, Sailor's grandmother fell ill, and she had to go to another city to be with her. Evie was missing her friend. Once, she was walking past her empty house. Soon, Evie realized that Sailor had lied to her about the grandma and was actually at home. How did Evie understand it? Look, it's been snowing that day, but there's no snow near Sailor's house. It means that Sailor must be there. Mrs. Rivera was a math teacher grading her students' homework. Halfway through, she came across 2 similar homework sheets. The woman realized that one of the students had copied the work of the other because the mistakes were the same. The sheet on the right is McKenna's, and the left one belongs to Maeve. Can you tell who copied the other's homework? Look, McKenna corrected herself a couple of times, while Maeve's work is exceptionally neat, except for the mistakes. Mrs. Rivera corrected. This means that McKenna was doing her homework by herself, occasionally making typos and mistakes. And Maeve's paper is neat because she just copied McKenna's work. One day, Mrs. York invited some guests to a fancy dinner in her mansion. A couple of teenagers were running around, exploring the house. When Mrs. York went to the basement, she saw that the showcase that contained her jewelry collection was broken. One girl, Hannah, admitted she'd thrown a baseball, and it had accidentally hit the showcase, but the showcase had already been damaged by that time. Can you tell if she's lying? The crack from the baseball must be the one on the right. If the baseball was the first thing to crack the glass, the cracks would stretch to the frame of the showcase, but they only reached the other cracks, which means that the baseball was, indeed, secondary damage. So Hannah told the truth. Mrs. Jones was working a night shift. Her daughter Venus wanted to invite a friend to sleep over, but Mrs. Jones didn't allow it because it was a school night. When she returned, she realized that the friend had actually visited Venus. How did she understand it? There are 2 sets of plates and cups in Venus's room. It means that she didn't spend the evening alone. Now, how about having more fun? I'll show you some emojis, and you'll have to guess an animated movie. Let's start with an easy one. Which animated movie is it? Yes, it's Sleeping Beauty. Okay, the next one. What's your guess? Of course, it's everyone's favorite, Up. What do you have to say about this one? Animals hanging out in the forest? It's Bittersweet Bambi. Now, off to a girl's absolute obsession. Yes, that's Frozen. Let it go. Let's make it a tiny bit harder for you. It's Sweet Wally. What about the next one? It's Ratatouille. Off to the next one. What's your guess? A movie about a crazy princess with a frying pan and a chameleon? The one and only Tangled. The next one is an oldie but a goodie. It's Monsters, Inc. What can you say about this one? Coco. I'm sure you'd love it if you watched it. Okay, a crazy one for you. Think about it. Joy, sadness, disgust, fear, and anger. That's Inside Out. And the last one's for you. Don't overthink, it's pretty simple. Yes, that's Toy Story. Dakota and Tatum both failed their math test. Their mother grounded them and made them study all weekend. She occasionally walked into the teenagers' room to check on them. Take a look at the girls. Can you tell which one hadn't been studying before her mom walked in? It's Dakota, sitting on her bed reading the math book. but there's no copybook or pen nearby. No one just reads math books. Math is more about writing and doing exercises. Just look at Tatum. Andromeda came to her PE class and told her teacher that, unfortunately, she couldn't participate in class because she had broken her arm. The teacher didn't believe her and told the girl to stop fooling around. Do you think Andromeda tells the truth? Why didn't the teacher believe her? Look, her cast is put over her hoodie. It must be fake. In the middle of the day, the lights in a jewelry store went off for a minute. Once the lights were back, the seller saw that the most expensive diamond had been stolen. There were 3 customers in the store at that time. Desmond, a blind man, said that he couldn't have stolen anything. Cassidy said that while the lights had been off, she'd been standing without moving. Kira said that she'd been trying to find her cell phone to turn on the flashlight. Who stole the diamond? It must be Desmond. He pretends to be blind, but look, he has a camera. He wouldn't need it if he was really blind. Last week, Pandora went to a party without asking her dad for permission. Mr. Pond found out about this and grounded the girl for 2 weeks. There was another party planned for the next weekend, but Pandora had to stay in her room. The morning after the party, Mr. Pond came to his daughter's room and asked what she'd been doing the evening before. She said she'd been painting. Pandora got grounded for another month. Why? There are indeed painting supplies on her desk, but the picture is barely started. Mr. Pond realized that Pandora hadn't been painting for long because she had sneaked out and gone to the party. Another day, another incident. This time, another jewelry store was robbed. 2 of the most expensive wedding rings were stolen. It happened after the store closed. So the main suspects were the cleaning man and security guard, the only people who had the keys to the store. Detective Jane decided to visit both men, look at their houses, and figure out who stole the rings. It must be the security guy. He obviously lives with a girlfriend, and it seems like they want to get married. That's why he stole the rings. Michelle had a birthday party, and she invited several friends. Flora didn't want to go because she didn't like being around many people. So she lied that her mom had grounded her and made her clean her room. The next day, she invited Michelle to her house to study together and watch a movie in the evening. Michelle agreed. But at Fleur's house, she understood that her friend had lied to her. How? Flora's room is still messy. If she had cleaned it the day before, it'd be neat now. 3 sisters, Serenity, Autumn, and Polaris, were at a party. They were offered to play a game. If they won, they'd get a good prize. There were 5 hats, 3 white ones and 2 blue ones. Each girl stood in line, one after another, and got one random hat. Serenity could see the colors of both her sisters' hats. Autumn could only see what Polaris was wearing, and Polaris couldn't see any of her sisters. Anyone could speak up and try to guess her hat's color, but it could only be one of the girls. If she got it right, they'd all win. After a while, Polaris guessed the color of her hat correctly. How did she do it? If Serenity saw blue hats, she'd be, but she didn't speak up. One of the hats she saw, Autumn realized that. If her had a blue hat, has a white one. But which means Harris realized that and said,